What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers missed out on Spencer Dinwiddie. He ended up signing with the Dallas Mavericks. And you see a lot of jokes went around like, oh, it's okay, we got the Bronny replacement. You know, Bronny's going to step in and play the Spencer Dinwiddie role. And in reality, like, obviously, he's not. He's going to be spending time in the G League. However, Jalen Hood Schifino, I think, has the potential to do that. And I know, people are already going to be in the comments like, oh, he's trash, you know, he was a bust, wasted pick, all that stuff. Kind of hard to prove what you can and cannot do when you're playing 3 minutes a game in garbage time, right? When the whole point is just to get out of the game unscathed. There's no real organization. There's no real nothing, right? It's just like, hey, here's a couple minutes. No, he averaged 2 points, and I think it was like 5 minutes total for the season, right? Again, like how do you judge somebody? Scottie Pippen Jr., right? He's looking great, right? He lost in the Summer League Finals, but hey, he dropped, what is it, 28, 29, something like that, right? People are talking about how great he is and all that stuff. Oh, the Lakers really dropped the ball with Scottie Pippen Jr. Well, he wasn't that with the Lakers, right? How did he become that? Oh, that's right. He got the opportunity with the Memphis Grizzlies and actually got to play and start and play meaningful minutes and developed, right? Like, so again, Jalen Hood Schifino, we only have what we have to go off of him. And what we have to go off of him is he got 0 meaningful minutes in the actual NBA, but he played in the G League and he dominated. In the G League, he averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, right? Like, again, he has good size. He has the versatility to play either guard spot. I'm not saying he's a guy that's going to play 30-plus minutes a game. He's probably not going to play that anyway, and neither was Spencer Dinwiddie, right? But Spencer Dinwiddie, the idea was that he would be another piece. Depending on how things shape up, if the Lakers make a trade or not, right? If they don't make a trade at all, then he probably just plays limited minutes. Probably looking at best, probably 10 minutes a game. Probably spend a little more time back in the G League because the Lakers will probably just run, you know, Gabe Vincent, D'Lo, Reaves, guys like that. But on occasion, I could see him kind of stepping up, guys out, right? Hey, JHS, get out there. You're going to play 20 minutes this game, right? And give him an opportunity to see what he can do, right? Talked about this with like Colin Castleton and various other guys, right? Like, how do you know what they can be or potentially be unless at some point you kind of just throw them to the wolves and let them sink or swim, right? Like you either getting eaten alive or you're going to walk out of there unscathed. Like let's see what he can do. Now, look, obviously I'd rather have Spencer Dinwiddie given the team that we have right now where we're trying to win ASAP, right? And Spencer Dinwiddie at least is a vet that is experienced and, you know, he can play multiple positions, where Jalen Hood Schifino, he's kind of this big question mark, right? Again, I don't know if he's good. Maybe he will be terrible. I don't know. But I can't just label a guy when he hasn't gotten an opportunity to actually play meaningful minutes in the NBA. I can't label a guy what he is. Yes, I understand the G League is not the NBA, but it's a very good indication that there's something there. Right? Because he's better than everybody else that he's playing against in the G League. Right? So that means that even at 19 or 20, whatever he was last year, right? Like it allowed him to show and display like, hey, I am better than the G League. Right? So he's clearly better than the G League. Is he as good as a rotation guy in the NBA? I'm not saying starting level. I'm not saying bench level. I'm talking about potentially being your third guy that on occasion could be, you know, have anything significant. And then if he starts rolling, then kind of up his minutes. Austin Reaves, right? Austin Reaves was just a guy. Nobody thought Austin Reaves was going to be the guy that he was. Right? People were talking negatively about Austin Reaves and how he, like, oh man, he's another guy, he's undrafted, but clearly he was undrafted for a reason. And all, like, I'm old enough to remember that stuff, right? And guess what? LeBron gets hurt, and we need somebody kind of have to throw Austin Reaves into the fire. And he came out, and he was great. And now look, now he's an actual starting level player. I know people like to talk negatively about Austin Reaves. I've spoken and talked about my disappointment with Austin Reaves. I am disappointed based on his performance last year, but even in a bad season, he still gave you 16, 5, and 5. I just had better expectations and I expected better consistency from him. And I talked about him. I believed he would be a 25-5 guy. But guess what? If he would have shot 39% like I thought he was going to, like he did the previous year, and not 37%, he would have been a 25-5 guy, right? Like, so I wasn't that far off. It's just, again, I was disappointed about the lack of consistency, about the defensive end. Never a great defensive guy, but he was at least serviceable, right? And he just became terrible. So to me, it's like, you look at Austin Reaves, and there was no expectations. There was no thought that he was going to be anything. There was no thought that he was going to be even a rotation guy for a couple years. And then he got the opportunity and he capitalized and he seized the moment, which credit Austin Reaves for doing that. But again, Max Christie, right? What is the talk right now about Max Christie? Man, you got to get him minutes. You got to let him play. Let's see what he can do, right? He's done this, that, and the other. Well, I mean, even year one, he had his struggles. There were questions like, oh man, did the Lakers miss on this pick? And then you saw in Summer League, which Jalen Schifino didn't get to play Summer League because he's still rehabbing an injury. But in that Summer League, it was like, oh, wait a minute, Max Christie, we might have something here. Right? It's like, wait, hey, time out. Like, this guy's actually really good, right? And then you saw him in the opportunities he had. He actually was able to hold his own, particularly on the defensive side. He wasn't great shooting the three ball as a whole, but he was 40% on catch and shoot threes, right? So, but again, he got meaningful minutes at times. He started at times. He got opportunities at times. He didn't get what he should have gotten, right? Like, Darvin Ham didn't do a good job of utilizing him, but you saw what could potentially be. You saw that like, hey, this guy can actually play because he got the opportunity. You know, and that's how I look at with Jalen Hood Schifino, is that if you're going to give him the opportunity, let him see what he can do before we just say, oh, guy's trash, bust. Like, go look at some of the stars in the league in their first year, meaningful. I mean, Kobe, we love Kobe. He was airballing, was terrible his rookie year, right? I mean, he showed signs, flashes, obviously. It's Kobe Bryant. He became so, but nobody thought he was going to be Kobe Bryant. Nobody thought he was going to be one of the greatest players ever, watching him airball shots and turning the ball, just looking, kind of clumsy out there at times. But he kept with it. And then he got opportunity and more opportunity. And then, boom, he just became Kobe Bryant. I'm not saying that Jalen Hood Schifino is going to be an all-time great. I'm not saying Jalen Hood Schifino is even going to be an all-star or a superstar, anything like that. But again, it's the same idea. It's the same concept of like, how can you know and judge somebody when they've yet to have the opportunity? Right? Giannis didn't look like he was going to become Giannis. Jokic didn't look like, Jokic was drafted during, what was it, like a Taco Bell commercial or something? Like, you know how many guys in the league looked awful? Even SGA. No one's talking about SGA, and then he just, boom, just exploded, right? Like, and all of a sudden he was this top guy. Again, I'm not saying that Jalen Hood Schifino is going to be a top guy, but that doesn't mean he can't be a rotation piece. Doesn't mean he can't be a starting level guy, right? Doesn't mean he can't be a guy that is actually utilized well and makes sense for this team. I say it all the time. Like, not everyone has to be a superstar. Would I love for Jalen Hood Schifino to be great? Sure. Right? But again, like, if he's just like, hey, he's a versatile, two-way, can make plays, even if he's just a backup point guard, you need those in the league, right? Like, you need a guy like that in the league. So I'd be totally okay with something like that. But I look at kind of the situation Lakers are in, and you look in, and yeah, there's still guys like Ty. Like, if the Lakers do pull off a trade, right? Let's say Jeremy Grant, whatever, right? Just using Jeremy Grant example, and we end up trading D'Lo, right? There is this sense of like, hey, we need somebody, right? Austin Reaves, it kind of seems like they'll probably slide him to the point. A little iffy on that, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Maybe he can continue to improve in that department. He just did not look like a point guard last year, and he got his own units to run and everything. He just was not very good, but again, guys can improve, guys can get better, right? But even then, like, you have Gabe Vincent, like, you're still going to need a guard that can step in and kind of play that role. And especially if Austin Reaves isn't capable of doing it. Like, what if he doesn't improve as a playmaker? And, it's just like, we can't really use this guy. Well, then maybe now you have to move Gabe Vincent and you're going to need somebody else. And yes, again, there's, Markelle Fultz and, Tyus Jones and guys like that. But at what point do you just go, all right, let's throw Jalen Hood Schifino into the fire? I mean, all we heard last offseason in training camp from everybody, Darvin Ham, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, D'Lo, all of them. What was the one consensus when they were like, who's the guy that's standing out the most? All of them said Jalen Hood Schifino. All of them said Jalen Hood Schifino was busting everybody up. So either all of them are lying and just saying that just to like, hey, we want to support the rookie, or it was the truth. And then you could argue, well, then why didn't Darvin Ham play him? I mean, Darvin Ham wasn't the best decision maker, right? Like, some of our best units, period, were with Max Christie. And Max Christie couldn't see the floor at times, right? So again, I don't know how to judge Jalen Hood Schifino. Maybe he is a bust. Maybe he's terrible, right? Maybe he does get the opportunity this year and he's awful. And it's like, man, you can't play this guy, right? And I don't mean that after one game or two games. I'm talking about hey, he gets he's played 20 games and the consensus and consistency is this guy is not very good. Okay, now you kind of have an idea, right? Okay, this guy still clearly needs development, right? But what if, even if he has the first game and it's terrible, let's say he has a bad game the first time and it's man, that was not a good look. And then the second game, he's but third game, he's oh, hang on a second. Fourth, oh, hang on. Wait a minute, right? Again, it's about seeing that progress. It's about seeing that continued growth, and again, at some point, you're going to have to start throwing these young guys out there, right? A lot of other teams utilize their rookies or utilize their second players, not necessarily in heavy doses, but they do it enough to kind of give them an opportunity and experience. 2 games is a long time. There's a lot of games, right? So it's just, can you find the right spots to get him in and give him the opportunity, right? If he really is ready and he is good and he looked as good as he looked in the G League and he really was busting dudes up in training camp last year and all that stuff, then I expect him to continue that this year. And so if that's the case, let's get him. Let's see what he can do. Throw the kid in the fire and let's see what he can do. If he's either not ready or he is. If he's not ready, then you evaluate and you figure it out. If he is ready, then great. Maybe the Lakers found something, right? But to me, it's just I can't judge somebody until I really see it, until we get an idea. That's why I wish he played in Summer League, because it would have given us a good, obviously, again, Summer League isn't everything, but it would have given us a good idea. Is he just better than everybody, right? Or is he the Max Christie the following year, or is he Maxwell Lewis, where it's he's you can see the improvements, but he still needs a lot of work, right? So it's unfortunate we didn't get to see that, but I just think at some point you got to let them see it. But again, patience is everything. There's a lot of guys in the league that didn't look like they were going to be the players that they became, particularly year one. Then you saw the improvements, saw the growth, and then you saw them get the opportunity, right? Like I mentioned with Kobe, right? Kobe didn't look like he was going to be. I mean, there was talks about the Lakers should have, what were they doing trading Vlade Divac for him? Look, this validates the point. Again, I'm old enough to remember. People talking negatively about Kobe his rookie year and thinking he was going to be a bust and he was trash and all that stuff. And he became one of the greatest players ever, right? Again, I'm not saying Jalen Hood Schifino will reach that height, but he doesn't necessarily have to. All I'm saying is that you got to let guys develop before we come to a conclusion, right? You got to see where guys get. The number of players that just year one are great are very few and far between. And it's also based on the opportunity. Now, it's hard to judge a guy when he plays 5 minutes a game, right? And it's all garbage time. It's not meaningful basketball. It's not with the real guys. It's just kind of like your G League guys, and all you're trying to do is just get out there, just get out the game. No one get hurt. So anyway, again, how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.